Hello, I'm Colin Sullivan.
And I'm Elissa Dickson.
And this is Almost Live, a weekly show designed to give you the who's who and what's what of Telluride and Mountain Village.
This week we'll have a fresh episode of our fitness series, Fuel Up, with Becca and Ryan from Telluride Fuel. Then we'll have 2 new episodes from our chocolate series with Telluride Truffle. And we'll have a fresh Miners Minute with the Telluride Historical Museum.
Catherine Warren is back with her Warren Commission for news on the local music and entertainment scene. And then we're going to learn a new yoga pose on Yoga with Barbara, now sponsored by the Telluride Yoga Fest. And then the wine geek food freak, Mr. Patrick O'Gans, is going to do a lovely sausage in red wine and cream sauce for us.
And we'll have 2 fabulous special guests this week. Patty Denny, who founded the Telluride Truffle Chocolate Company, and Dan Jansen, former Mountain Village mayor and new store owner. And now let's head over to the Warren Commission.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is 2019. And fortunately, one thing that hasn't changed over the years is Miss Catherine Warren and her Warren Commission.
Yes, there's still plenty of fun to be had in Telluride.
There's
no matter
plenty
the
of fun.
time of year. Well, I guess off season, but
yeah, but we're not talking about off season now.
No.
We're talking about peak winter season.
Yes.
And I need to see a little black book, and it needs to have some things in it. There
yes,
we go.
It has lots of things in it. You hit the nail on the head. Total, peak winter season. Mm-hmm. Some folks on the gondola yesterday were asking me, oh, is it done yet? I was like, nope, not for quite some time.
Is it
which
done?
Is great.
Is Telluride shutting down now?
Open for 2 weeks and back down. So we've got plenty of fun to be had. The Liberty kicks off their après weekend series through the winter this Friday and Saturday at 4:30 with a duo that go by the name of Genghis and Stetzer. Mm-hmm. They sound wonderful. That's at 4:30, if I didn't already say that. At 6 o'clock on Friday night, Acoustic Funk, a local band, is playing at the Bean. They play, I believe, every other Friday night at the Phoenix Bean. And in Mountain Village at Club Red is a really great electronic funk duo. If you're into the EDM music scene, this is the show for you. It's the Floozies. They've been here in the past couple winters, and they are playing with Maddie O'Neill at Club Red, and that begins at 8 o'clock.
And you guys had the Floozies back when you were at the Opera House, right?
Yes.
And they sold out,
they
a
sold
double
out.
night.
So they're probably going to sell out the Club Red, and they've got a killer light show. And if you want to dabble in the electronic music scene, this band is also really good for that because they sample lots of old school funk music and then usher that into the electronic world. Very good show. If you're in town and more of a classic rock fan, there's a Beatles versus Stones tribute showdown at the Sheridan Opera House. As we have discussed in the past, tribute shows do very well in Telluride because we're never going to have the Beatles or the Stones in Telluride. But we can have epic tribute bands. And this one seems really fun because it's, the same band sort of going back and forth between 2 iconic British rockers.
Cool.
That's at 9 p.m. And then a new series that the Opera House is doing is called The After Show. And as soon as the music is done upstairs, immediately following downstairs is an after show. And on Friday night, it is DJ Black Caesar.
Oh, I thought you were going to have actual Beatles down there or something like that. Oh, no?
No.
Paul's not coming?
Nope,
Okay.
just DJ Black
All right.
Caesar. And then on Saturday, sorry, going back to that real quick, that is free. Ticket holders from upstairs get first priority, and then if there's room, it's free and open to the public.
Okay.
Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. Après Ski is Wagner Custom Ski's first installment of the second Saturday block party that they are holding in Mountain Village in the Wagner Plaza Village Pond area. And Joint Point will be playing, and there will be food from the village table available for purchase, as well as bubbly and brews, according to their poster. Later on Saturday night is the Motet. Fabulous funk dancing band. One of Telluride's favorite.
One of Colorado's
favorites. Yeah, they started out as a little bar band, and now they're selling out Red Rocks, so they're back at Club Red for another installment, and of course it'll be a great time. And if you're in town at the Sheridan Opera House, there are two bands playing at the Opera House. It's the Kitchen Dwellers and the Magic Beans. That's at 9 p.m., and then Cousin Curtis plays the after show right after them. The fun thing about Kitchen Dwellers is it features local boy Sean Swain. He's the mandolin player. He went to college in Bozeman, got into bluegrass music, was into bluegrass music.
You don't say. In Bozeman, huh?
Yeah, from Telluride to Bozeman.
There's a mandolin, kids. Just show up. You get your Telluride card revoked.
Yeah. So head online to SheridanOperaHouse.com or ClubRedTelluride.com for information and tickets for both those shows. And then looking into next week, there's two really great events I wanted to bring to people's attention that aren't necessarily music, but of course I don't discriminate against, even though I favor music. On Monday night is a special talk with Telluride TV's own Paul Hokemeyer at the library called When a Bluebird Day Isn't, Suicide in Our Mountain Towns, which, as many may know, that's an issue in the mountain communities of Colorado, and Paul is a wonderful resource to talk about mental health in beautiful places like Telluride.
We've had him on many times.
Yeah.
Paul is a fascinating watch. So.
Yeah, so that's at 6 p.m. on Monday. And then on Wednesday, the Telluride Historical Museum, if you're up on the mountain at 10 a.m., they present Ski into History with Ashley Bowling, which is always a good time because you really just ski throughout the ski area. And Ashley's such a great storyteller and can tell visitors and residents alike, the fun stories and the history of our beloved ski mountain. So that's it for this week.
That's it?
Well, there might be a few more things that I'm missing, but you can pick up a copy of the Watch newspaper
and read an article by
Catherine Warren, and
that article would be called
The Warren Commission.
There you go.
It's actually a column, technically speaking, and there's also the beat sheet and concert calendar and event calendar in the Watch as well.
Thanks a lot, Catherine, for being here again.
Thanks for having me.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Let's head on over now. The Wine Geek Food Freak is going to do a lovely red wine and cream sage sauce, all that stuff together there. And then we're going to see another segment on Telluride Truffle's 14er. This 14er is going to be called the Alpenglow. And then we're going to sit down with the Telluride Truffler herself, Miss Patty Denny, later in the show.
Hi, I'm Patrick Legans, the Wine Geek Food Freak. Today, I found some beautiful hand-stuffed Italian sausages from my local Clark's Market. I'm going to do it with some mushrooms, onions, a nice red wine, cream sage sauce. I've got my onions, yellow onions, and mushrooms to the point where I want them. I've done a little bit in, put a little olive oil in there. You can always extend the life of butter if you add a little olive oil. I'm going to take some beautiful hand-stuffed Italian sausages from my local market, Clark's Market, and I want to stick them right in here and just brown those guys up a little bit. I also like to add at this point in time a little salt. A lot of times I add the salt at the end, but today, right now with mushrooms and onions, because you're cooking them slow, you want to extract all that liquid out of them. All right, so now I've just seared the outside of the sausage just a little bit here, getting the right color that I want. I'm doing it on both sides. You also notice that the onions and the mushrooms are also getting that same look to them. I'm going to take last night's Barbera, any red wine will do. I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to reduce for a little while. Okay, so now the red wine has reduced enough. You can see it's thickening up. It's really come into the sausage a lot, changed the whole color of the sausage. Now I'm going to add a little heavy whipping cream. Mix that in. So now the cream sauce is starting to come together. Not quite there. We're going to finish it off in a second. But I just want to take all this stuff off the side. Very important. That's where the sodium is. That's where the flavors are. Okay, put that right there. Meanwhile, real quick, I'm gonna chop up some of my sage from my garden just to put right into that sauce. Just give it some of that sage flavor. We're gonna reserve a little bit for decorations at the end. So cream sauce, the worst thing that can happen is they break. So that's when you've cooked it too long. So one of the things we're watching for here is you'll see all these bubbles. When there starts to be bigger bubbles, and you can see it right here, a small discoloration right here in that little spot right there, it's darker purple, that's gonna start to happen all over. That's where we're gonna nail that cream sauce perfect. Just past this is to break the sauce, and the dish is over. You'll have oil and cream separated on the plate. We wanna have one congealed sauce together. I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna reserve them on this plate real quick while I finish off some pasta. I'm gonna take my pasta. I'm gonna place in the sauce. Give it a toss. I'm gonna chop up the rest of my sage for decoration purposes. All right, now we're just there. I'm gonna show you right here in the camera. Check it out. You can see the discoloration happening all over the place, but it's not yet breaking. That's perfect. All right, so now I'm gonna take the pasta, I'll put it on the plate. Now I'm making this one for a big group of people. So I'm gonna put all the pasta down here, reserving some of that sauce for the top. Place these beautiful sausages right on top. And then pour that sauce right on. All right. Take my decorative sage, bring on all of that. And sausage in the red wine sage cream sauce. Until next time, remember all you need is good ingredients, some care, and a minute of your time, and you can eat like me, Patrick Legans, the wine geek, food freak.
Hi, I'm Patty Denny, and I'm the founder and creator of Telluride Truffle. I would like to introduce you to the 14er, which is made up of 14 different truffles, all representing mountain life. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Alpenglow. In the mountains when the sun sets, we call this Alpenglow because the mountains have this beautiful pink hue. My Alpenglow truffle you'll know because it has pink stripes, and it is infused with Cabernet Sauvignon and dark chocolate.
It's a nice hearty red wine in there that's pretty flavorful. It stands out from the bittersweet chocolate.
It just has such rich and intense flavor. I know you're going to love the Alpenglow.
And that was Telluride Truffles Alpenglow. You can find that in the 14er pack. But here to talk a little bit more with us about the 14er and about Telluride Truffle and about all things chocolate is Miss Patty Denny.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I should say you are the Telluride Truffler, or you are the driving force behind all of this kind of thing and the truffles and all that. And so we're going to talk about it. But before we begin with what we like to begin with, rather, is your own Telluride story. So before we get into the truffles, tell me, how did you get here?
How did I get here? Well, I moved here from New York City. I was an actress for about 10 years in New York, and just kind of started to feel like, as I got older, this might be a tough career. And I also just kind of, I wanted something new, wanted something different. And so I started looking around for changing my life, making something different. And I had some criteria, and one of which was to move to a community, an educated community. I love the arts, so it needed to be a community full of the arts, etc. And year-round sports, because I love the outdoors.
So Telluride is an obvious fit.
And I found Telluride, and I say I fell in love like you fall in love with a man. I mean, I just fell in love with Telluride.
And when was this, Patty?
That was 24 years ago.
24 years ago.
24.
My gosh, that must have been a different Telluride, huh?
Yeah, it was.
And so you got here, you were here, and then you just decided to get into the chocolate game. I know. Acting is not a gateway drug to the chocolate game. I know this. I mean, I like chocolate, but I know this because I am an actor, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
And so explain how did Telluride Truffle come about?
Yeah. So after stopping acting, I said, oh my God, what do I do now? I've wanted to be an actor all my life, since I was like 12. And they said, well, I've always heard that what you like to do when you were really little is what you should do for a living. And I said, well, I had this mud pie kitchen like you wouldn't believe. And I mean, it had different grades of dirt. And if you know anything about being a pastry...
This is spoken like a true artist. You're like, I had a mud pie kitchen, so I just started a chocolate empire.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it started. You asked me where it started.
But how did you
It
learn?
actually started back then.
It must be a difficult thing, though, to learn how to sort of like become a chocolatier, because your chocolates are very high end.
Well, thank you.
And obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about the 14er pack, which has a whole bunch of lovely alcohol mixtures in there
Yes,
as well.
yes, yes.
But the preservation of those things, like, you know, I mean, it's a perishable food to some end. And of course, you know, the more you have it out there and the more you package it and those kind of things, the more you have to sell it in a certain amount of time. So how did you figure all that out?
Well, I decided that I wanted to become a pastry chef. So I came up here, got a job at the Peaks, entry-level pastry. And in that year and a half, those chefs in that kitchen 24 years ago taught me a lot. And one of the things that we did were truffles. They weren't done well, no offense, but the kitchen was too hot to do chocolate properly. But after I left that job, they were kind of like a really easy thing to take to potlucks. So I would. And people were just crazy about them.
Nice.
And at one point, somebody said, you should do this. Like, you should do this for a business. And I thought that was hilarious because I lived in New York City. I tasted some of the best chocolate.
Yeah.
And then really more people started saying it. And so I thought I'd give it a shot. And you know what? I just started playing around with chocolate and reading cookbooks, and step by step, it just started working, and it kept working. And now here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you haven't tasted these truffles, but this woman is no slouch. It's not like it does. It sounds like you're like, you know, it's an amazing thing, I think, sometimes to hear stories like this because again, you had one career, you transitioned to another one, and you do it at a very high level. Obviously, we're in a small town, but we like to think there's a lot of people here operating at a very high level with their particular business and building it sort of up from the ground, and it's amazing. You just read cookbooks and you figured it out. Let me bring this in now. Hold on one second.
Okay.
This is the thing that we just keep talking about, that you keep seeing segments on, the Telluride 14er. This is like an entire arm of chocolate here, and if I were to open this up, you would see each individual truffles, which are like almost like 2-3 bite truffles. They're so big.
That's true.
But talk to me about this. How do we get here with the chocolate?
With the chocolate from where we, and the thing that I want to also, when you say that, you know, Telluride truffle is in Telluride, but we do quite a bit of business outside of Telluride.
Okay.
I have a website, TellurideTruffle.com, and we ship quite a bit.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, probably 700, 800 shipments at Christmas.
Amazing.
And a lot of those have never been to Telluride, don't know about Telluride. So the chocolate is, I'm kind of amazed at that. The chocolate is standing
Well,
on its
Telluride
own
is now
nationally.
becoming a name.
I
mean,
know.
They have things. They have like Telluride is printed on shirts in Target.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, and it's all false. It's all like the Telluride Tigers, you know, that kind of thing.
Really?
Like, yeah, but like it's becoming a name for people. But so you're selling this all over the place. But tell me about this right here. Tell me about the arm length of chocolate that I have. In
That
my
you
hand.
have. Okay, so what happened about 4 years in, my truffles used to be round little balls, like you see truffles a lot nationally. And then what started to happen was I'd go to restaurants and they had truffles, my same flavors, and they looked like mine because they were balls. You know, restaurants here in town. So I went, okay, I better get a little bit more savvy about this. And so I created this mold, this triangular mold. They're all in triangles so that they look like, hence the box, so that they kind of represent the mountains. And so after that, I just kind of thought, now if they copy me, it's going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how the triangle came about.
Nice.
And then we started with a little 3-pack and a 7-pack, and then we went to a 14er, and I didn't know what to do, so we just made it longer.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny, but also kind of beautiful.
It is. It's
Yeah.
kind of funny, kind of beautiful, and very, very tasty. You're going to see a whole bunch of these. Telluride Truffle is sponsoring and has some really great segments. We have some really great segments throughout the show. On this show, we're going to see the Alpenglow, and actually, after we're done, you're going to see the Powder Day, which is another one. So just tell me, which one of these is your favorite? Is that a fair question?
You know,
Can you tell me?
I can't because it's like they're my kids, you know,
Yeah.
which one. And literally, I'm not just feigning that. I start to love one of them, and then I get tired of that one and go to another. Yeah. People ask me all the time, do you still eat these after 20 years? I'm like, yes, I still eat them.
Yes.
And when I eat them, I just still go, oh, these are good.
Patty,
I still think they're really
what's
good.
the Grand Marnier one called? What's
the Grand Marnier is called Spiral.
The Spiral. That's mine, baby. Thank you very much, Miss Denny, for being with us. And we didn't mention this. You do have that website, but also, if you're in Telluride, you can go right on First Street, and you guys have a retail store there.
We do. A beautiful little retail store that's just fun to go into because we do chocolate tastings. We talk to you about chocolate. It's a lot more than a store. It's kind of an experience, and I hope you have a lot of fun there.
Well, thanks a lot, Patty. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Let's head over and actually see a little bit more about that Powder Day truffle. And then after that, we're going to work off some of those calories that we got from eating this entire 14er with Becca and Ryan in the new segment, Fuel Up.
Hi, I'm Patty Denny, and I'm the founder and creator of Telluride Truffle. I would like to introduce you to the 14er, which is made up of 14 individual truffles, each one representing mountain life. Today, I want to introduce Powder Day. Powder Day is one of our favorite days here in Telluride and in most mountain towns because it means that it is a big ski day. The Powder Day is flavored with almond.
You know, it's a white shell, white filling, white bottom, white garnish.
We decorated it to look like that beautiful day where there's snow all over the mountain. Running this business and developing this business is an expression of not only my love of chocolate, but my love of mountain living. I just know you're going to love these just as much as I do.
Hi, I'm Becca.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are
Team Fuel. And this is Fuel Up. So today we're going to take you through a quick abdominal core circuit. It's really good for any sport you're going to do. It's also good for reducing low back pain and any issues you might have. So having a strong core is never a bad thing. It always prevents whether you're skiing or mountain biking, hiking, and just general life. It's where all of your power is derived as well as your stability. So we're going to take you through a quick circuit. And we're going to start with just a basic sit-up, something probably a lot of you guys have done. So I'm going to have Becca demonstrate. There's a lot of different ways to do a sit-up, but today we're just going to go through a basic variety. I'm going to have her start with her feet firmly planted on the floor, and she's going to come to laying position on her back. And we're going to start, just for simplicity's sake, with the arms straight up, and she's going to, a little momentum is okay in a sit-up, as long as you're not completely rocking force. So Becca, go ahead and sit up for me. It looks like she can't complete the sit-up, which is, some people do not have the abdominal strength to do that, which is fine. In that case, we can use a little bit of an arm swing. So I'm going to have her bring her arms over her head and now use the momentum from swinging them forward to crunch her abs and come up. Modified sit-up. So let's show one more, Becca. Notice she's keeping her abs tight the entire time, which is the goal. Try no rounding, especially in the low back. A little bit of rounding in the thoracic spine in the middle of your back is okay, but we don't want to see too much rounding down here in the low back. She's doing a good job there. So that's our first exercise. I would say a good goal to start for that is 30 seconds worth of sit-ups. You'll probably complete somewhere around 12 to 15 sit-ups in that time period, depending on how fast you're going, but 30 seconds is a good goal. So our next exercise is going to be more oblique focused and stability focused, which is a side plank. So I'm going to have Becca come to her forearm and try to keep her body in a straight line as she rotates to the side. This arm can either be positioned straight up, as Becca's doing now, or you can even bend your elbow and rest it on your temple. Either way is fine, as long as we have a straight line, her obliques are tight, and feet are best stacked on top of each other, like she's doing here, as opposed to having the top foot either behind or front. This keeps you in better alignment. So if that hurts your shoulder, Becca, one thing you could do is do the side plank on your hand. A little more stability in this position as we perform the side plank. Same movement. Again, I would say 30 seconds aside is a good goal here, and this is primarily an oblique exercise. Our third exercise here is going to be more for our posterior chain. So actually you're going to get more of the muscles all across your back, your hamstrings, and your butt. Also still a core exercise. A lot of people hear core and they always think abs. That's not necessarily the truth. Your back and your erectors are also your core muscles. So I'm going to have Becca put her hands out, straight out in front of her, and we're going to attempt to squeeze our butt, squeeze our hamstrings, and lift the hands and the feet off the ground at the same time. Notice how she's almost in a reverse, almost a rockered ski position for you skiers. And then she's going to drop back to the floor and raise again. This is a great posterior chain exercise you can do without any equipment. Everything's tight, that's really important, especially your glutes and your upper back and shoulders. Everything should be very taut so that we're not overstressing your low back.
Ryan, sometimes I see people do this. Is that okay?
That's a totally valid move. And this movement here will challenge your core a little bit more. It's just that you have the offset from foot to opposite hand. It's a little bit more difficult, but also a great movement. So our final movement is going to be a hollow body hold. This is a gymnastics-inspired movement that's used in anything from the rings to parallel bars, and it's really just a way to hold your body into a tight athletic position. It is an advanced move, so as we progress through this, if you feel your low back come off the floor at any point, that's when we want to stop this movement, and we'll show you how you sort of set that up. So I'm going to have Becca lay down on her back. She's going to lift her feet up, and arms are going to go over her head. Straight up and down. This is our starting position. Now what she's going to do is slowly lower her legs to a position where you do not feel your low back arch. Notice that her low back is in contact with the floor. This is an ideal hollow body position. If you can't achieve this, that's okay. Just try to stay a little more upright to the point where your low back is not coming off the ground. So again, 30 seconds is a great goal, longer if you're able to, but this is our final and most challenging move for this core circuit.
Well, that was good. So Ryan, if I have lower back issues, should I be doing these exercises?
I would say low back is actually something that benefits from core training. As long as you're maintaining proper posture, having strong core will really help your low back pain.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Becca. That was awesome.
That was great. And thank you guys for tuning in once again.
And please join us in the future as we have more routines here on Fuel Up.
Dan Jansen, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me, Elissa. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So on Almost Live, we always start with a question about your origin story. So how did you come to Telluride?
How did I come to Telluride? I was working a big job in Los Angeles. When they have the word global in your title, you want to be careful because that means you travel too much. And wasn't seeing my kids, 3 little kids, was out of shape, overweight, and I convinced my Southern California beach girl wife to go live in a cool mountain town for a year. I had to twist her arm pretty bad. Put the kids in school, got them into skiing, lost 30 pounds, had a great year. And at the end of the year, I said, all right, honey, we need to go back to reality, start paying for this somehow. And she said, we'll miss you. And so at that point, I realized I'm staying.
Nice.
Yeah. So then we decided to stay and put our roots down here. And that was 12 years ago.
Awesome. So the family's hooked.
Family's hooked. 3 kids grew up to be competitive skiers, and now they're heading off to college. And we're still here. One's off of college, 1 more next year, and another one in a couple years, we hope. Touch wood.
Very cool. So you've been here 12 years.
Yep.
And so that would mean several years into your Telluride adventure, you decided to become mayor of Mountain Village. And how did that happen?
Yeah, that's another story, huh? Well, the challenge in Telluride is making a living. So when I didn't go back to that big job in LA, I started a serial entrepreneur. I've started a handful of companies. And so I started a company called Virtual Greats, which sells branded virtual goods into social media, and I can bore you with what that is. It's basically an alternative advertising model. And I was able to do it from here, an office in LA, one in San Francisco, and one in New York, but not traveling much, teeny company. And we got acquired kind of out of the blue. I sold it. And they put you under what's called a non-compete clause, which is they pay you to do nothing and not start a competing business. And for 2 years, and I was trying to figure out what to do.
You couldn't do anything. I mean,
You can't do anything related to that company.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of what my skill set was. And I bumped into Bob Delves, who was kind of the mayor at the time and kind of a mentor of mine. And he said, why don't you run for office, run for mayor? And I said, I'm not a politician, I'm a business guy. He goes, that's exactly what we need. And proving the flawed nature of democracy, the good people of Mountain Village elected me to town council and then to mayor. And it was a hoot. It's absolute fun. I mean, everybody talks about giving back, and I hope I did a little bit of that. But frankly, I think I learned more and got more out of it than maybe I even contributed to be, kind of in the middle of your career and developing a whole new skill set, working with different types of folks on different type of issues. It was really fun.
Very cool. And as mayor, what was the thing you're most proud of that, your legacy, I
Yeah, my
guess.
legacy. Oh goodness, how many hours do we have? No, I mean, when we moved to town, the governments weren't working very well together. The county was suing Mountain Village over an issue.
Wow.
To be honest, I think our government had more of a mindset of regulation and control. And I tried to bring a business logic to it. We did an exercise called Business Friendly Government, where we interviewed all the businesses in town, a lot of our constituents, and we said, look, we want to get to yes. And we got to much more of a mindset of enabling and helping and less of a
very
regulator
cool. Yeah.
mindset. We sent all of our employees, even the landscapers, to customer service training because they really are ambassadors in the community. And so I was really kind of proud of that transition. I think an example is a lot of times governments pass rules and we're going to ban this and we're going to fine you for that. We shifted to more of creating incentives because people want to do the right thing. They just sometimes need a nudge.
Yeah.
So like we did that light bulb program where we'll pay for 75% of LED bulbs, or if you reduce your heating of your outdoor areas, we'll waive fees. If you
that's cool.
Prepare your property to be safe against fires, we'll contribute money to help you do that. So we created many programs that were incentives. And I was really kind of proud of that because that's kind of an example of that mindset shift away from regulation to more incentives and encouraging people to do the right thing and getting to yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. And it was neat that as teen librarian, I was teen librarian at the Wilkinson Public Library for several years, and we did a mayor panel for the 8th graders when the 8th graders were writing their If I Were Mayor essay.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool opportunity for Dan to share some of his insights from being mayor of Mountain Village and get the kids thinking in that neat way of what can I do to make my local community better. So I remember that fondly, doing that with
I'm
you.
glad you remember. Well, that's the fun part of the mayor job is being able to go out and talk to the community. There's some not fun parts of it, but that's a great thing. And I still remember I have my leadership speech is what's leadership about, and I probably bored the heck out of the kids with it, but it was really fun. I appreciated you including me.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're up to now, because that's super exciting as well.
Well, one of the best things about being mayor is being a former mayor, because now I can get to the supermarket in less than an hour. Because people always say, "Hey, Elissa, I just have one quick question for you," and then an hour later you're going, "My food's cooking on the grill." No, it was really fun. I really appreciated the opportunity. But you term out, and now what I've done is I've decided I kind of failed early retirement badly, and I've decided to start a new company, and it's a small venture capital fund that invests in early stage companies around the world in the legal technology sector.
Cool.
And I have 10 companies in my portfolio and a small team kind of around the world, a virtual team. And we're hoping to help those companies grow and ultimately provide a good return on investment to our investors who invested in our fund. And you can do something like that from here, which, not to go back to the mayor thing, but it's one of the other things I really tried to work on was helping to diversify our economy. We love tourism, we love real estate, but we want to also have other businesses that can survive the next recession or downturn. And things like folks like myself, and there's others, hedge fund managers and software engineers and all sorts of people who live here and have amazing careers that help our local economy and help diversify it. Yeah, so I'm running a venture capital fund from little old Telluride.
Super cool. So, of course, we want to end with this exciting new collaboration you're doing with your wife on Main Street. Recently had a big article in the paper. Tell us a little bit about Society.
Society, yes. Well, I'm clearly the junior partner in this relationship, but Lynn it's kind of been her passion, her life, kind of retail and fashion. Her first job in life was working as a sales clerk at Wet Seal in Orange County Mall.
Ooh.
Yeah, many years ago. But she, throughout her career, in the middle of her career, she was general counsel of an online retailer and internet company. And so what she observed is we like to travel a lot with the family, and when you go to the cool parts of London or Paris or whatever, you're seeing very different bricks and mortar concepts emerging. The internet's kind of killing bricks and mortar, as we know, and you read about Sears and Toys R Us going bankrupt, but small town shops around the world, including a little old Telluride, losing 1% or 2 or 3 of revenue and margin a year. So the response, and we saw some of these in Shoreditch, which is a cool part of London, is to go experiential, is to make the store less, much more spacious, more relaxed, more comfortable, have more amenities. And so what she did is we got the old bank building on the sunny side of Main Street. Shameless plug, 109 West Colorado.
Right between Floridora and Delilah.
And Delilah. The young people say it's next to Delilah. Old folks say it's next to Floridora. I'll take your pick. But what she did is she put in a small wine, champagne, coffee bar. So if you want to have a glass of champagne or coffee while you're shopping, we're having a Main Street patio. So if the bored spouse is waiting, can grab a beer and go sit on Main Street and watch the world walk by. There's a big lounge upstairs, very comfortable, big flat screen TV if you want to watch the game or catch up on the news, or just, you don't even have to shop. You can hang out and just have a coffee and catch up with a friend. And there's a huge patio out back, so this summer we'll have some soirees out there. Lynn's the driving force here. It sells women's clothes, men's clothes, jewelry, accessories, homeware, but really a light, clean, kind of comfortable environment where hopefully people hang out a little bit.
Very cool, Dan.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. It's been such a pleasure to catch up. And
it's great seeing you again, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. Telluride TV is a public access channel that depends on public support from viewers like you. So right now we'd like to give a shout out to a few of our sponsors, the Telluride Foundation, Telluride and Mountain Village, and the Telluride Ski and Golf Company. Now let's head over to the Telluride Historical Museum for the Miners Minute.
Hello and welcome to our mini yoga series in beautiful Telluride, Colorado. My name is Barbara Glansnick, and today we'll be looking at Supta Vajrasana. This mini series is really designed to provide you with some easy stretches that you could do throughout the day, especially when you don't have a lot of time. As always, I really want you to focus on the breath, so we're going to inhale and exhale through the nose only, and I want you to be mindful about moving your body, so really honor where you are today. Okay, so let's get cracking. So come to your mat and come onto your knees. Take your knees about hip width apart. Heels are going to be slightly wider than your hips, and then if you can just sort of sit down between your heels. If this is not possible, you can also just work on that. You can first place a block or a bolster underneath your sitting bones and slowly, slowly, slowly work yourself all the way down. Once you sit comfortably, because that's really important, you don't want to already be super strained or at your edge. So once you sit comfortably, you're going to bring the bolster all the way to the back. And then slowly, slowly, slowly on an inhale, you're going to lift your heart, lengthen upwards. On the exhale, slowly bend the elbows and gently lie down. At the very, very end, you're going to bring your head down onto the bolster. Keep the chin tucked, gazing in the direction of the nose tip. If this feels somewhat comfortable, you can also reach your arms back to get a little extra extension. So stay here between 5 and 10 long breaths. Feel like you're moving your tailbone forward. You feel the inward rotation of the thighs and the grounding of the sit bones. With every inhalation, you feel the lengthening of the front side of your body. Maybe you can find a little bit of relaxation in the posture. After 5 to 10 breaths, on an inhale, press into your elbows and reach your heart up. Head comes first. And then from here, remove the bolster if you had one and move into child's pose. So come onto your knees, bring the big toes together, reach the knees wide, and walk your arms forward, forehead to mat. Again, we're going to stay here for 5 to 10 long breaths, releasing the back, creating space in the lower back. And as you're done, slowly inhale up, bring your knees together. Thank you so very much for practicing with me today. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.
Lost in a strange land, caught up in this game plan, trying to find my way back to the train station. Looking outside, but it's not a place, man, it's a state of mind. Graceland. Heaven is here. Yaga, yaga, yo. When my mind is...
Thanks a lot, Barbara. That was a great new yoga pose. Well, Almost Live
is almost over. If you missed part of the show, never fear. Almost Live airs every day, morning, noon, and night on Channel 1304 in Telluride and Channel 12 in Mountain Village.
And you can always catch us on social media on YouTube or Facebook with the handle @Telluride TV. All right, look at what we got here.
Whew.
Special stuff. I have a Valley Cow. You have a Spiral. The Telluride Truffle 14ers. What does yours have in it?
Orange liqueur.
Grand
The
Marnier.
liqueur, yeah.
And I got some Jack in here. So, hey everybody, we'll catch you next week.
Enjoy.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
sure.
Telluride lunch right there. Oh my gosh.
Brunch of champions.
I hate
We're
white
still in
chocolate
brunch
normally,
phase.
but if you put Jack Daniels with it, I'm fine with it.
Can I get on the couch, then?